Bart and I met in college, but we didn't date until we both got jobs back up here. We had about a 9-month engagement and then got married. Of course, he didn't have a church background. I guess he went as a child to the Baptist church. They had the bus that came around, and he went there. His parents, his dad was a Methodist and his mom was raised a Baptist, but they were not like active church members. They would go a couple of times a year when they went back to their parents' house. So I was raised in the Catholic Church and was very active, I guess you could say. They don't have, or they didn't have at that time, a lot of activities like Madison does, but, you know, went to weekly service and, you know, all the things that you were supposed to do to be a good Catholic. That's what I did. And Bart went with me for several years, and as that kind of time progressed, he started kind of being less frequent in attendance. And then as we had kids, you know, the divide kept getting kind of bigger. He started asking a lot of questions about why we do the things we do. Why did we worship this way? What did that mean? And, you know, having to be truthful with myself, I couldn't answer a lot of them other than, well, that was because that was the way we always did it. So we started investigating and doing some study on our own, and preparation for Easter one year. The Lenten season is 40 days prior. So we decided we were going to read through the entire New Testament. I had read through the Gospels several times, but had really never ventured out into any of the other books of the New Testament. So we were going to do that, and as we started doing that, we kind of had a lot of questions about what the scriptures were saying wasn't exactly lining up with the type of worship and the type of things that we were observing in the Mass. So we started, kind of branched out and started studying some church history as to how that church doctrine got established, and had just come to the conclusion, or through study and through the church writings, that a lot of those institutions and holy days and things like that were just kind of made by another group of men that said, yea, verily, this is what you're going to do, and if you don't believe this, then you're an anathema. So that was, you know, kind of a revelation to me. Didn't really know a lot about how the Catholic Church was formed or why those things were the way they were until Bart started questioning. And so in the providence of God, both of us had office mates that were members of the church, and were very open to all of our questions. And just through that relationship with them, our own study, it became apparent that we needed to make a change. There were things that were not lining up with what the scriptures were telling us to do. And so we started visiting some other churches of Christ. You know, when all this began, I was thinking, oh, well, you know, we'll kind of meet in the middle and we'll go to the Lutheran church or something like that, you know. But it was a transformation, I think, for both of us, because we both were lacking in that knowledge. We hadn't sought out study on our own. You know, we just kind of went with the flow of how we were each raised, and that was kind of where we ended up. We were both, you know, good people. We, you know, worked hard. We didn't, you know, we tried to be good stewards of what we had and everything, but there was just something missing, not only in our relationship with God, but, you know, it was a dividing force, I think, in our marriage too, especially as children came along and more questions came up, you know, like, where are we going to go? Why isn't Dad going, you know, with us? You know, what's going on here? So all of that kind of worked together to be the catalyst to come to the realization, I guess, that we needed to make a change. And it was not a short process. I mean, it lasted a lot longer than the 40 days. that was kind of just the start of it. I mean, we probably didn't make a move to even go visit churches for probably about a year and a half. Because there is that guilt on my part, about leaving the church and what was my family going to say and how all that was going to play out. That was not a confrontation I was eager to have. To be truthful, we kept it a secret from my family especially for quite a while. I think we were already baptized and had been going for, I would say, probably 9 months before we finally told my family what we had done, and we did it in a letter because we knew that was not going to be a very pleasant face-to-face confrontation. So we kind of, not fired a first salvo, but gave them a warning shot, and kind of let them, because we were planning to go down, for a visit anyway, and so we kind of let that kind of sit for a week or two before we actually had a face-to-face discussion about that. I think that the decision to become a Christian was fairly easy once you figure out what it is that has to be done and that you haven't done it. That part was really easy, at least for me. It was the dealing with the fallout that was not going to be pleasant. Like I said, we kind of kept it on the down low for quite a while, but we knew we had to come out because Samantha, it was going to come out between Samantha and Dane, just in their excitement, because they enjoyed Bible class and things, and so if they ever started talking about that, they would know for sure that we were not in a Catholic church. And that was always one of my dad's biggest fears, was that since Bart wasn't Catholic and didn't convert, that we would end up leaving the church. And to address that, I would just say you have to do what you have to do. You have to do what's right before God. Even though that may disappoint parents and family. There were, I still have one brother that I haven't talked to in over 10 years. There were some other things involved with my parents' illnesses and things like that, but that was really the crux of why we kind of separated. And most of my other brothers have been very supportive, especially throughout my parents' illnesses and stuff. We were able to work as a team, but some of those relationships will never be, what they were. That's okay. It did cause a pretty good division between us and my family. But the positive side of that was it really strengthened a lot of friendships within the church for us, because they became our family. And that was really great. There are a lot of people that had stepped up and filled a big void for us. Especially as new Christians, that was very helpful and beneficial, and just showed us, how much they loved us, even though they didn't really know us that well. So that was good. If you can conquer yourself, that's the hard part. That selfishness, that wanting to be conformed by the world instead of being transformed by God. That's what is hardest to me. But if you break it down into steps and just do the next right thing, that transformation gets easier to do. And it gets a little easier every day.